Woody Island, China calls it Yongxing, has been in Beijing's hands since 1974. In 2012, China formally declared a city on this tiny speck of land, home to more than 1,000 people. Now, according to Taiwan, which claims the island along with Vietnam, it's also home to 2 advanced surface-to-air missile batteries. China's foreign minister blamed the Western media's appetite for creating news stories, but didn't, in so many words, deny that the reports were true.
As for the limited and necessary self-defense facilities that China has built on the islands and reefs, stationed by Chinese personnel, this is consistent with self-preservation and self-protection that China is entitled to under international law.
What for China is self-defense, the United States sees as militarization. The US Navy has twice in recent months sailed warships within a few kilometers of islands that are currently controlled by China, but whose sovereignty is disputed. President Obama has promised more of the same.
I think it's clear that this is part of a trajectory towards China preparing these islands for possible deployment of either military fighters or missiles. And this has been the great fear in Washington, that this would deny these areas of the ability of US Navy ships and other Navy ships to deploy freely without the threat of the use of force.
Taiwan's president-elect is due to take office in May, with a mandate to cool recently improved relations with Beijing. She's called for self-restraint. Japan, which has a separate territorial dispute with China, issued a sterner rebuke.
China is trying to change the situation and increase tensions in the South China Sea by carrying out extensive and rapid land reclamation, building bases in the region, and utilizing them for military purposes. We have deep concerns over such actions and want to re-emphasize that Japan cannot accept this.
The tensions between the 2 largest powers in this region extend here to the Korean peninsula as well. After North Korea's recent nuclear test and rocket launch, the US is in talks with South Korea about deploying an American anti-missile system known as THAAD here on South Korean territory. That's something Beijing is opposed to, seeing it as a direct threat to its own military interests. That's hardly an unintended side effect. Seoul and Washington want to pressure China to rein in its ally in Pyongyang. On Wednesday, there was a show of force over the southern half of the peninsula. American F-22 stealth fighters demonstrating what the US calls its commitment to defending its ally in the face of North Korean threats. But it's a show of force that will have been noted just as much by the leadership in Beijing. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera, Seoul.